The stats are so bad, but still better than nothing. So that's all we have. Equip. Ragnar Prime will be released soon, but even before he is officially in the game, he's already a candidate to become the best open field fighting commander in Rise of Kingdoms. And even if he doesn't become the best commander, his pairing will surely be. Because Ragnar Prime paired with Scipio Prime provides everything that you could ask for from an open field fighting March. Together they provide very high number double AoE damage, attack, defense and health bonus, extra March speed, normal damage and skill damage reduction from Ragnar, and with a 50% chance raw damage reduction from Scipio, and a bit of a shielding, so they also have the tankiness. And on top of all that, they have health, attack and March speed debuffs. So at least on paper, it's pretty clear that Ragnar paired with Scipio is going to be the best open field March in Rise of Kingdoms. And that's why today we're going to talk about how you can prepare your account for a possible Ragnar Prime investment. Because very soon he will become obtainable in the game, and surely he is a must invest commander. But the problem is not all of you guys have the same account. And because of that, we are going to divide this video into 3 different sections, so feel free to skip to the part that your account falls into. Number 1, we are going to talk about if you have 0 infantry investments, number 2 if you have 1 infantry march, and number 3 if you have multiple infantry marches. And for each section, we are going to talk about how you should prepare your sculptures, your materials, blueprints, and also of course your formation choice chests. So it's going to be a long one, but a good one. Without further ado, let's go. And yes, even though I do already have an infantry march, I think I'm going to expertise Ragnar Prime.
Spartans! What is your profession?
Alright, chapter 1. If you have 0 infantry marches, your plan is actually rather simple. As I've already mentioned at the start of the video, your march is going to be Ragnar paired with Scipio. But of course, this will cost you 1,380 universal sculptures if you only summon both commanders. So how can we make this cheaper? If you don't have the sculptures needed to expertise both commanders, the way I would do it, I would again expertise Ragnar Prime, and I would go with a 5-5-5-1 Scipio. The reason for that is, of course, Scipio's expertise is pretty good and eventually you have to unlock this. However, the second portion of it, their troop gains 30% rage faster if the current target is silenced. And of course, in Rise of Kingdoms, if you're talking about silence, you are talking about Guan Yu. But with the release of Ragnar Prime, I think the number of Guan Yus on the field is going to decrease, like substantially. And because of that, I believe it's not mandatory to unlock this expertise as fast as possible. Instead, I will go for Ragnar's expertise to boost his extra damage, because the thing about this extra damage, the additional damage, it doesn't get reduced by 15% like his active skill. It is raw 1800 damage in total. Well, Spartan, I don't even have enough sculptures to expertise Ragnar Prime and get Scipio to 5511. Well, in this case, what you do is you just low invest on both of them. You get both of them to 5551. You again first work on expertising your Ragnar Prime, and then you move on to your Scipio Prime. Now, you could argue that instead of 5551 Ragnar Prime, 5515 version could be better. But the problem is, unless you are very lucky, you will need to spend a lot of skill resets. And those reset items are quite rare, so you don't want to waste them. If you're going to use your skill resets on a commander, I would say you need to be sure that you won't be expertising that commander anytime soon. For example, I did that with my Joan of Arc. I get her to 5515, because I know that anytime soon, like at least couple years, I'm not going to be expertising her. However, if we go back to Ragnar Prime and Scipio, I think you eventually want to expertise both, and that's why after some point, after a short time, your skill resets are going to be useless because obviously you are expertising. So you can either go for 5551 or you go 5511, leave both skills open and just upgrade and let it land wherever it does. And I think that should be your minimum investment on both commanders. So in total, it's going to be 390 for both, times 2, 780 sculptures is what you need. However, here's a quick side note. If you are spending in the game, you can do what I'm doing to prepare for my Ragnar Prime and Scipio pairing, and that is buying the dailies for your Scipio. Of course, I know the daily bundle is not as valuable as sculpture-wise, not as valuable as the Writer of History. However, still, I think Scipio is a great purchase. So if your Scipio is not expertise already and you are spending some amount of money in the game, you should definitely consider selecting Scipio and buying some dailies to prepare your Ragnar and Scipio March. And regarding equipment, it is also pretty straightforward, because since you don't have any infantry march, you should also have no infantry equipment. This should be your endgame goal: 4 pieces from the infantry set, Hope Cloak, and also Eternal Light. However, just like sculptures, you may not have enough blueprints or materials to craft all 6 legendaries. Don't worry, again, the plan is quite simple. These two, the helm and the chest piece, should be your 2 main priorities. And after that, this is how you can make your infantry gear a lot cheaper, but still super effective. You get the Gatekeeper shield, you get Karak's humility, Frost Threads, and of course lastly, Sass Brutality. Wait, I don't have a special talent on my Sass Brutality? What? Alright, so this is the configuration that you want to use. All these non-legendaries are amazing as long as you special talent them and increase the stats that they give. And since the Epic Chest and Epic Helm for Infantry, they both give attacks, so that is definitely something that you don't want. These two are your very first priorities when it comes to crafting your legendaries. And after that, you simply try to go for 4 pieces set first, and as your final upgrade is going to be Eternal Knight. But as I said, specifically for infantry when it comes to field fighting, because of that extra 10% march speed, this is definitely the set that you want to aim for. And regarding armaments, aka formation choice chest, there is one option only for Ragnar Prime and CPO, and it is going to be wedge formation. Unfortunately, I don't have any formation choice chests, but with the ones that I'll get, I will of course select wedge and try to work on some skill damage based armaments for my infantry march, because all my infantry investment so far was for arch formation, and obviously you can still use arch armaments because every single troop type in the game do deal normal damage, but of course wedge is going to be way better. Okay, now we are moving on to the second portion of the video if you already have one infantry march, and we will divide this into 2 parts as well. Number 1, if you've been using a march like let's say CPO and Liu Che, so you are still using wedge formation and you have 1 skill damage and 1 smite damage commander. And number 2, if you're in my shoes, meaning that your only infantry march is a smite damage march. Now if you had the CPO and Liu Che march, your job is going to be a little bit easier because you already have your expertise CPO, or let's say 5511. Doesn't matter, like you already invested on CPO Prime, and most likely you've been using that march with wedge formation. So your armament should be pretty good for wedge formation. Since you already have an infantry march, you do have some sort of an equipment. Then all you need to do is basically going up to 2 infantry marches and splitting your Liu Che and CPO, and your Liu Che with either William Wallace or Alexander the Great. This depends on your current investments. If you already have, let's say, a 5511 Alexander the Great or an expertise Alexander the Great, you can surely keep using this march. Traits are not going to be as good as William Wallace and Liu Che because obviously they have the smite damage synergy. Together they deal a lot of damage, but the benefit of this march is that it's just a lot faster than this one. But if you have the luxury, if you have a bunch of sculptures lying around and you can expertise 2 commanders and you want to go up to 2 infantry marches, honestly, like you don't want to bench your Liu Che, okay? If you have him expertise, you don't want to bench him, like he is so busted. So what I would do is expertise William Wallace, go with William Wallace Liu Che, and Ragnar Prime with CPO. At this moment, I would say 2 infantry marches are the best 2 open field marches in Rise of Kingdoms. You could argue that Zhuge Liang and Herman is also very good. However, the problem with that march is they just get targeted instantly and they die so fast. They don't have a lot of march speed. They don't have a lot of tankiness. Yes, they deal a lot of damage. They have great debuffs, but unfortunately, they just die super fast. So I think this 2 march configuration will be amazing for you. William Wallace Liu Che, Ragnar Prime paired with CPO. However, if you are in my shoes, meaning that you have 1 infantry investment only and both commanders are smite damage, then we have a little bit of a problem because, again, just like I showed you on the first section, I literally don't have any good wedge armaments for infantry. All I have for wedge was for cavalry because I thought from now on infantry is moving towards the smite damage direction, but no, they released Ragnar Prime, insane commander, and he's a skill damage one. So if, for example, we select wedge and take a look at our current armaments, okay, we have something with triple infantry, like the stats are so bad, but still better than nothing. So that's all we have. Equip. I know this sucks, but it is what it is. From now on, what we need to do is using every single formation choice chest we get for the wedge formation so that we can have something for our Ragnar and Liu Che march. Now, when it comes to equipment, let's say this is your configuration, how you are going to split this equipment into 2 marches. Well, I would say what you should try to do is distributing your legendary equipment equally on both your marches. However, there is one thing that you need to pay attention. You go back to your city, you select a random location, and first you're going to take a look at one of your marches. And as you can see, it is 4 minutes and 43 seconds. I know we don't have Ragnar Prime yet and my CPO is just level 1. And then you're going to take a look at your second march, and as you can see, this one is 4 minutes and 23 seconds. This march, imagine that this is Ragnar Prime and CPO, is faster than the other one. This means what you want to do is that you want to use your 4 pieces set on your slower march so they are a little bit faster. Of course, before you do that, you want to unequip all your equipment so it doesn't affect your march speed. But the idea is the same. We're going to use our 4 pieces set on our slower march, and then we're going to try to distribute the remaining equipment sort of equally. So what I would do is I would probably remove my Eternal Knight from William Wallace, and I would use this configuration. Then if you move on to CPO, I would give him the Eternal... Wait, he's not level 45. Oh my god. Okay, let's imagine that Liu Che is CPO for a second. I will give him the Eternal Knight. I will craft an extra Hope Cloak, extra Set Helm. So this will be his only 3 legendaries, and the rest I would do exactly the same that what I did on the first section of the video, we'll go with Frost Threats, Seth Brutality, and Gatekeeper's Shield, all 3 special talented. This is how my faster march would look like, and this is how my slower march would look like. As you can see, we are only removing our Eternal Knight to give extra bit of stats to our march that is not using that many legendaries. Again, since you are in my shoes and your only infantry march investment is a smite damage march, just like we did in the first section of the video, we are spending some amount of money on daily bundles for our CPO Prime because he is going to be obviously the best pairing for Ragnar, and for $5 getting some extra sculptures for him is, I would say, a great thing to do, again, if you are spending money in the game. Now, last but not least, if you have multiple infantry marches already, it is kind of impossible to be exact about your investments because do you have a smite damage march already? Because some people go with 2 skill damage marches, Guan Yu and Scipio, Liu Che and Alex, meaning that they have great armaments for wedge formation, but nothing for smite damage. I mean, the arch formation, they have no good armaments. And in that case, you can do basically whatever you want, but most likely what you are going to do is you are going to bench your Guan Yu because most likely you are using your Guan Yu at Scipio. Your Ragnar is going to be the Niv body of your Scipio, and then you're going to go with an either Liu Che Alexander the Great. If you already have invested on William Wallace, you're going to go with William Wallace primary, Liu Che secondary. If you didn't, and if you don't have Alexander the Great, then what you're going to do with your Liu Che? Can you go Guan Yu and Liu Che? I don't think so. I wouldn't advise it. Can you go Ragnar Prime and Liu Che? Yes, you can, but again, like literally zero synergies. I would say you are just hindering the performance of both commanders. Instead, I would just bench Guan Yu, invest on Ragnar Prime, go with Scipio with Ragnar or Ragnar with Scipio, and then get a proper smite damage pairing for your Liu Che march so that you can have amazing 2 infantry marches. And the gear also shouldn't be a problem for you because in this scenario, you are already running 2 infantry marches. So everything we discussed so far definitely applies to you. And you probably have already really good legendary equipment for your 2 or multiple infantry marches, or at least you should have 4 pieces set on both commanders. Because let's be honest, the main downside of infantry in the field, even though, you know, all 4 commanders right now, Ragnar, Scipio, William Wallace, Liu Che, like they're amazing. The problem that you'll need to fix at some point is going to be the march speed. 4 minutes 34 seconds. If we compare it to a cavalry march, as you can see, 3 minutes, it is way faster. So you somehow need to upgrade their march speed as much as you can, whether it's 4 pieces set bonus, tier 5 iconic boots for extra 5% from tier 4, another 5% from tier 5. But these are of course very late game plans, but that is eventually what you are going to do. Soon when our KVK starts, I'm going to be comparing William Wallace Liu Che versus Ragnar Prime and Scipio. It's not going to be like one-on-one reports. I will use both marches in the same KVK, meaning against the same enemies with the exact same equipment and similar armaments. I'm going to try to get my wedge formation in a decent spot, at least equal to my arch formation, and then we can have a definitive answer to which march is better, William Wallace Liu Che or Ragnar Prime at Scipio. Let me know what you think and subscribe if you don't want to miss those videos. I see you on the next one. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.